Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. We are about to start prediction season here at the channel, and naturally, when we are breaking down all of these teams and breaking down all of their rosters, we're going to be discussing a lot of new players on these teams that have come in through the transfer portal. As we know, and as we've seen, just because you added tons of transfers, some big names as well, that doesn't mean that you're going to succeed. The transfer portal really is a hit or miss type of thing. It's truly a gamble. You believe you're going out there and you're acquiring someone that's going to make an immediate impact for your program. A guy of good character, a guy of good talent, someone that could take you to that next level or fill a major void that has been left behind from another transfer or someone that's departed to the NFL, graduated, whatever it may be. But we saw even last year two perfect cases of how the transfer portal can be used correctly and how the transfer portal can completely devastate your program. A team like Indiana, who went 3-9 in 2023, went 11-2 and made the college football playoff. Best season in program history, solely due to the fact that they pretty much built that team through the transfer portal. Kurt Cignetti left the James Madison job, came into Bloomington, brought a lot of guys in from James Madison, added a couple other guys throughout the rest of the portal, and next thing you know, Indiana is in the playoff. Nobody saw that coming. Sure, they had an easy schedule, some would say, but still, plenty of other teams have had easy schedules and never done that. On the flip side, you saw a team like Florida State. Florida State loses tons of talent from a team that went 13-1 in 2023, and some would say was wrongly left out of the college football playoff. In 2024, they go 2-10. Had a transfer quarterback in DJ Uyunglele, handful of transfers at the skill positions, handful of transfers on defense. Everybody thought the Seminoles could be the team, still be the team to beat in the ACC, and they went 2-10. Nobody saw that coming in 2024. So one end of the spectrum, you got a team that goes from a losing record to a playoff team. The other end of the spectrum, you got a team that should have been a playoff team, some would say, to a losing record and one of the worst seasons in their program history. Some would say that's a matter of coaching, right? You know, maybe Mike Norvell didn't do a great job. Maybe Kurt Cignetti did a much better job. But I also think it's a matter of team chemistry and player mindset. So this whole video today, guys, we're talking about just kind of the two ends of the spectrum when it comes to the college football transfer portal. And again, this is a conversation we could have had in December when that first window opened. It was a conversation we could have had right after the spring window closed just a few months ago, or a few weeks ago, I should say. But we're doing it now because we're getting closer to the start of the season. We're going to be talking about all of these teams that have added so many key players. Teams like LSU that added 18 players. Or what about Texas Tech, who spent a lot of money, we talked about them recently, to get some big-time transfer portal names, 21 new additions through the portal. Auburn added 19. Florida State maybe has not learned their lesson, or maybe they're hoping for better luck, adding 23 players. Ole Miss added 30. And what about Southern Miss? You know, Southern Miss was horrible last year in the Sun Belt. They hired Charles Huff over from Marshall. He practically brings the entire Marshall football team with him to Hattiesburg. Southern Miss, over 36 transfers, new players for their program this year. These are teams that are going through complete overhauls. You know, gone are the days where you see many teams that, retain talent. You know, guys that stay at the school for 4 consecutive years. Guys that are returning starters. They're getting guys from other programs that have experience. They're not, freshmen. They're not guys that have been third-string scrubs or anything like that. But coming into a new system, coming into a new program, completely overhauling, and you have to wonder about the team chemistry with that. You've got all these different guys coming in there with different mindsets, with different skills. You got to be a good enough coach to control that team, to get the best out of those players. But you also have to make sure the team builds enough chemistry. Coaching can only go so far. And that leads us into the second point, right? You can talk about coaching all you want, and that is a very, very big role. And it's the coach's job, obviously, to evaluate that talent and to say, hey, you're going to be a good fit for our program. You're exactly what we need. You're not going to be what we need for this program. We don't want to pursue you. We don't really need you that much. But now in this new era of the NIL, it comes down to player mindset. Chemistry is a big thing, but why are players transferring? It used to be just because they wanted a better opportunity, right? They weren't getting enough playing time at their respective school, so they wanted to transfer to go somewhere else where they could get more playing time. Or maybe they wanted to transfer so they could be closer to home. They originally committed somewhere far from home. Things didn't pan out there. They wanted to go back home. You know, those are good reasons, and that's still, at times, the reason here too, going somewhere for a better opportunity. But now it's sometimes going somewhere because they're offering more money. If you're offering me more money to leave my school to go to you, I will happily do it. That's kind of become the theme now throughout college football. Can't say we really blame those players. I think all of us would take a different job if we were getting offered a lot more money, and especially in the millions. But still, it's not like it used to be. It used to be strictly for better opportunities, strictly for a good personal reason. Now, it's money. Now, it's maybe opportunities, maybe not. Take a look at a guy recently, Jake Garcia, transferring from East Carolina to Michigan. He's not going to play at Michigan, right? I'm not saying Jake Garcia is getting a lot of money to go to Ann Arbor, but he's a guy that was a highly touted recruit out of high school, played at Miami, played at ECU, now going to Michigan, where he's probably going to be the third-string quarterback behind five-star Bryce Underwood, the number one player in the class, Mikey Keene, who transferred from Fresno State, and then now Jake Garcia. So now Michigan's got great quarterback depth, but why would Garcia transfer there? He's not going to play. He's not getting a lot of money. It's not a better opportunity. Makes you wonder, especially for some of these other players as well, why they do that. In 2024 and 2025, this last year alone, over 4,800 FBS players entered the portal. That's over 25% of the active FBS players right now. Over a quarter of the active FBS players entered the transfer portal this last season alone. It just doesn't make sense. It's not a good thing to see. Numbers like that never happen. And that, remember we just mentioned, is a new record, breaking last year's record. So it's only going to keep happening, right? Until we get some rules and regulations on this thing, it's only going to keep happening. The number's only going to continue to grow. It's certainly going to continue to grow with the more money that is thrown at these players. If we don't get rules and regulations on NIL, that number is always going to grow every single year. So, breaking this down, kind of in a conclusion thing, just talking about the transfer portal, because we're going to be talking about so much over these next couple of months. You look at the pros, right? One pro of the transfer portal is, yes, better opportunities, right? I do believe there are some players that truly are transferring for more playing time, for a better fit from a scheme standpoint. Obviously, you see the scenario every time or every year when a new coach comes in. I mean, Marshall's a prime opportunity. Those players committed to play for Charles Huff, right? He leaves. It's only natural that a good amount of those players are going to follow him wherever he goes. Why wouldn't you? I totally get that. They're, in a way, kind of committing to the school, but in a lot of cases, you're really committing to the coach who is recruiting you, right? So better opportunities, better, setups for these players, loyalty to the coach maybe, understandable. Also another pro, possible quick rebuilds for these teams. There are some teams out there. Again, Indiana is the best example where you can take a school that was so bad one year and make them a competitor the very next year. That used to not happen. When you got a new coach, when you were in rebuild mode, it was going to take a few years to get you there. That's still the case for some schools, but the transfer portal now allows for teams to rebuild a lot quicker. A lot quicker. The cons, though, on the other side of this transfer portal discussion, is obviously these players aren't transferring for better opportunities, they're transferring for more money. Doesn't always mean they're going to the school that's the best fit for them. Doesn't mean they're going to fit in well with the team chemistry-wise. It's just, I'm going to follow the money, and if I sit on the bench all year and get my money, I'm happy. If I go to a school like Florida State last year and lose almost every game, as long as I get my money, I'm happy. These players maybe aren't playing to win anymore. They're not playing for pride in themselves. They're not playing for pride in their school. It's all about chasing a bag. Now, I don't know about you. I mean, sure, I'd love to make a lot of money. Don't get me wrong, but I also want to win. I don't want to go to a school and go 2-10 or 3-9. I want to win. I want to look good. I want to play well. It's not fun losing. But I think a lot of these college players will go, I don't care what the outcome of this game is. I don't care if we win or lose. As long as I get my money, I'm happy. That's not a good mindset to have. And that is a con to come out of this. The other con, naturally, as we mentioned, poor chemistry. Poor chemistry leading to poor seasons. Florida State, prime example. It didn't gel. Nothing gelled. DJ Uyunglele was a disaster. The offensive line, the defensive line, absolute disasters. And we saw what happened. Florida State went 2-10. They lost their mojo. They lost their confidence. They lost any ability to play football and had one of the worst seasons in program history 1 year after one of the best in program history. So it makes you wonder. Yeah, great. It's exciting on paper. Doesn't always mean it's going to pan out on the field. And that's the thing you have to remember as we go into prediction season. On paper, a lot of these teams are going to look good. A lot of high-profile transfers, guys that thrived at their previous schools. You expect them to thrive at this next school. That's not always the case. Transfer portal, it's a fickle mistress. You never know what you're going to get. It's like a giant roulette wheel. You don't know where it's going to land. You don't know how it's going to shake out. You want to believe your team's doing well. You want to believe the transfers that your team got are going to thrive, but that's not always the case, and it will continue to be very interesting. Again, until rules and regulations are placed on this thing, more and more transfers are going to enter the portal. We're going to see lots of new additions. This isn't just a football program either. This is baseball. This is basketball. This is every sport out there is going to remain the case. It's going to be a lot of positive impacts, a lot of negative impacts, but how will it affect your team in 2025? That is the million-dollar question, and of course, we'll be answering that for many of you as we start predictions on Monday. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. Check out everything down in the description below. That includes our website, thegridironexpert.com, home to our expert picks, home to our weekly newsletters, home to tons of exclusive content to help you get through this offseason. Content that you do not want to miss. Become a member of our GE Nation today, guys. We want you to be a part of it. And once again, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.